This is lesson 8, and actually is probably the most pertinent one. As we're going through these steps, obviously the research process is very complicated, and you can go through and make things that seem rational at the time and then end up being wrong later. Today what I was doing, I was working with putting together your written assignment for the final research design and conclusion section you're going to turn in. And as I was doing that, I was thinking that I made a mistake earlier, and I went through and I went back and looked at the video and I looked at the data, and sure enough I had made one. And it's probably the most important lesson of research. We do make errors as we go through, and so you have to learn how to fix those errors. And so this is going to be a quick kind of process of going back and fixing a problem. The problem here relates to one particular issue with the dependent variable. Notice this is the 507 station data, and it's the last version that we had of that. And if you go through, you'll see that some of these incidents, some of these stations aren't reporting. Like we went and we talked about the one in Pennsylvania didn't report at all. What we needed to do is we're gonna do the number of incidents per the number of stations, but there's an issue here because I just asked the SPSS package to summarize the number of stations versus that particular FIPS code, right? So we use this FIPS code to summarize all the Maricopa County ones, but over here you're going to notice that some of those Maricopa County, Avondale didn't participate, Fountain Hills didn't participate, and some of these others didn't participate either. And so what I would be doing is, if I just sum all these, I'm going to be including Avondale, Fountain Hill, and these other ones that didn't participate in the denominator for our dependent variable. That's an example of measurement error. So what I don't want is I don't want this n stations variable that I summarized. I want the number of reporting stations. And so there's tricks to doing that, and it involves this kind of this select if function. So here we're going to do select if, and we already have a variable that indicates whether the department reported. So we're going to click department reporting equals 1, continue, and click OK. What that does is the system goes through, and on the left-hand side of the menu, it goes through and it gets rid of the ones that didn't report. And so now we're only going to gather in those variables that are active in terms of reporting departments. From there, I'm going to do the same thing that we did before, but now I'm going to summarize, according to that FIPS code, only those stations that actually reported. So let's quickly do this. Analyze reports, case summaries. I'm going to now go down to the number of stations. I'm going to group that via the FIPS code. And then I'm going to unclick display. The statistic that I want is not the number of cases. I want the sum. So click OK. And again, we get a FIPS code and we get a series of different stations. Okay, so let's export this. We're going to export this as an Excel file. I'm going to put it on my desktop, and I'm just going to say this is going to be N stations reporting. Save it there, click OK, and narrow down here. For this one, let's go back, let's select all cases, getting rid of all that kind of stuff. And then we can save it back to wherever we had that file and get rid of it. Okay, good. That's the first step in fixing our problem. Now out on my desktop, I've got that N stations reporting. I just need to pull that up, and we're going to do that same stuff that we did before. Let's go through, let's get rid of all of that extra stuff, so no borders or shading. Let's delete these first two. We need FIPS structured as it is there. and we need number of stations structured as it is. Let's go to delete that. We need to change the title here, end stay report. And let's go through and make sure that we format cells as text. Let's make sure that's a text file. Okay. Let's make sure that this is end station reporting. Numeric is fine for that one. It'll import it. Notice here we've only got 47 observations. We only have our 47, so we're going to have to think about that as we go into the next bit of data. Okay. So let's save this again. Let's file, save as, end stations reporting. Keep it in that 97-2004 Excel. Save it, replace, that's fine. And let's close it. So I've got end stations reporting there. Now we just need to open SPSS, create a file, and we're going to merge that new data variable back into our working database. So I'll show you how that works. So once I have that Excel sheet with the number of reporting stations in it, all I need to do is import it into SPSS again, and then I'm going to merge it in as a new variable. So we'll do this same process we followed before, but it's good to learn how to fix your mistakes, and Lord knows I make enough of them. So let's go ahead and open. So we're going to open data. I'm going to say look at the desktop, but I'm going to look for those Excel files that we just did, end stations reporting. Let's see if it pulls it in. It'll look for them. Yeah, read variable names. It'll go out there and pull it. Let's check and make sure that our variables came in correctly. It did come in as a string, and the FIPS code came as a string and a variable 5, so that's what we needed. End stations reporting is fine. Let's go back to the data. We've got 47 of them, and that's what we were looking for. We're gonna we can save this file if we like. Save this to desktop again, end stations reporting. And so essentially what we have is we've got one quick SPSS file with the variable that we need to import in order to fix our dependent variable calculation. So let's minimize that. I've got another variable out there, and this is the county level data. So it's pols6123, the county level, version 002. This is the last version that I had. I want to import something that's similar to this, so let's follow that process. Notice we have 50 observations here versus the 47 in the other one, so that's going to affect slightly how we bring things in. Let's go through and do the data. Let's go back here, and let's always have to sort before we do anything. So let's sort. Okay. Should be in the same way, and then let's save it. Let's minimize. Let's go back over here to the original database, and so let's make sure we define and sort this one the same way. So put the FIPS code over there, run it, and let it sort. Probably didn't do anything, but we'll save it again. Okay, having sorted both of the cases and saved them, we're ready now to go ahead and do the next step, which is merging that corrected variable into our current database. So let's go to Data, Merge. Let's add a variable. And the active data set is that number of stations reporting, so we're going to add that one. The key variable, as always, is going to be match FIPS. So let's drag FIPS down to the key variable. You can click this one, cases sorted in order of key variables in both data sets. And this time I'm going to say both files provide cases. What I've got is I've got one branch, this one that's open has 50 different observations in it. I have the other one with 47 in it, and I don't want to lose those 50 just because I'm only importing from 47. So what I'll do is I'll do this kind of match cases. Cases are sorted in order, and both files provide cases so that I don't lose any of those three. If we look at the active data set, it's going to go down here, and you'll just add this number of stations reporting, and we're going to move that up there. So let's see if it works. Yep, always gives you that okay. Run it, let it go. First, let's look and see. We've got 50 observations still. Let's go out to variable view, And we have this one is our new denominator for our dependent variable. Let's take it up here and see what I did wrong and whether we fixed it. Okay, so if we get out here to the number of incidents, we have the FIPS codes, Maricopa, number incidents, number reporting, and number stations. All right, so actually let me do that slightly different. So here was the number of incidents. Originally, I was going to divide that by 163, but once I only targeted the ones that were reporting, it would be a denominator of 151. It would have made a big difference in PIMA, so we had 985 instances, right, for 49, but only 27 actually reported. So if you think about it that way, it really was this minor calculation issue that would cause a considerable amount of measurement error within the dependent variable. And so these are steps that you have to think about, and you don't always get them right. Sometimes you go through and you plot it and you say, man, that looks weird. Or when you write it up, you think about the steps that you did, and then you think, oh, maybe I made an error. And so one of the things about doing research is that you have to figure out how to kind of go back and fix the errors that you made. So I guess if you think about it that way, this is probably as good a lesson as any of them that we've done this semester. Okay, very good. Let's do a couple things. First and most importantly, let's file and save as, and let's change this to county level 3. And so that would give us a new data file, and then we're ready to go on for the next video, which is going to calculate our dependent variable. And that dependent variable will be based off of the proper denominator. Okay, great. Thanks.